Kwazi here, and in today's video, I want to share with you how you can achieve your goals in the most effortless way possible, but also eliminate that old self that keeps getting in your way, all of the doubts, all of the fears, and all of the anxieties, all of the discomfort. Okay, by the end of this video, you're going to not only learn how to get rid of the old self, but also how to double down on that new self that you would like to become, that you need to become in order to effortlessly achieve your goals. So stick around to the very end of this. I'm very excited to share this with you. So before I begin this video, I want to quickly announce I made a brand new bootcamp for you. So if you just scroll down to the pinned comments down below, you'll be able to access our exclusive email list where I can honestly share stuff with you that I can't share on the channel because of YouTube's platform limitations. So without further delay, let's go right ahead and get started. Now, today's video is about the easiest way to achieve your goals. And I know I probably title a lot of videos like that, but it's because this thing that I realized recently has been a big epiphany for me. And I also realized that most people have huge trouble just controlling their mental processes, right? So I saw this quote this one time, and I'm pretty sure I shared this on the channel, but the quote goes something like, spiritual progress or spiritual maturity is denoted by one's ability to focus on wanted thoughts while at the same time ignoring unwanted thoughts. Okay, so unfortunately, most of us cannot ignore our unwanted thoughts and our unwanted feelings. This is where we run into trouble. So how goal achievement works is, you have this intention. And with this intention, you fully lean into the intention instead of the counter intention that you have. So if I were to give you an example of this, let's say you want to start up a business, right? Or you want to pivot into a new niche within your business. Let's say you've been, running the same business for a very long time and you now realize that I'm not too passionate about this. I don't want to do this business for the rest of my life. I feel nothing. I don't want to, coach people on this, or I don't want to sell this product, whatever it may be. And you've realized that, wait, I would rather be doing that. So I had a call with this prospective client a while ago, and his trouble was he was doing this coaching business, but he wanted to do something more tailored in personal development. He wanted to do something more towards helping people become better versions of themselves. But he just couldn't see the path that would lead him to that, right? He was like, well, I'm already making money here. I'm making around 5K a month here. Why would I, if I pivoted, I would lose all of that. And I have my family to support. I have kids, I have this and I have that. So you see what's happening now? You have this intention of moving towards that personal development business, the business that you're really passionate about, that you'd really thrive in because you fully believe in it. But on the other hand, you have these counter intentions or these moving away from intents of what if this fails? What if this doesn't work? What if, I can't make enough money to support my family? So these two intentions are basically like two different versions of yourself constantly fighting against each other. So the question becomes, where does this come from, first of all? Where do these voices come from? It's not the voices that are the problem. And by the way, all of these voices are societally conditioned. If you look all around you, it's stuff that you're hearing. It's stuff that's coming up from your past that you've maybe heard from your parents, from your environment. Maybe people who are saying, oh yeah, coaching businesses don't thrive, online businesses don't thrive, you should just go get a job, which is the voice that I had when I wanted to start up my own business, right? So we start to listen to these voices and we start to believe that they're our own voices, that we believe that these thoughts are all ours. Have you ever wondered how, am I really me, or am I just a product of my environment mixed with like my biological drives? Right, so that gets difficult to discern. But I truly believe that within every single person, there is this one core desire that we all have that we came in to fulfill. And it doesn't really mean that, you have this desire to run an XYZ business, but running that XYZ kind of business, coaching or whatever it may be, fulfills that core desire that you've been blueprinted with. So in understanding that, we know that there are apparently these two selves, the societally conditioned self and the self that you're truly meant to become, that you are destined to become, or you had a blueprint to be. So what I want you to understand is that in order to truly achieve any goal, you have to want it. right? You have to want it and unashamedly want it and fully commit to that want. So to give you an example of this, if I were to drive a car and I put on the gas and the brake at the same time, there's no point. You'd be moving forward and then moving back, moving forward, stopping, moving forward, stopping, moving forward, stopping. This is what happens when we can't manage these two selves that we have within us, when we can't manage this societally conditioned self versus the self we would like to become. So this video is about learning how to manage that self. And by the end of this video, I'm going to share with you how to do that, how to manage these two selves. But before I do, I want to give you more context about these two selves and, basically where they came from and why it is the way it is. So another example of that compared to driving the car is, if you were to talk to a stranger, maybe you want to approach someone of the opposite sex that you're attracted to, and you have these thoughts of, oh, that person's attractive, I want to talk to that person. But then you have this counter intention of, wait, what if I get rejected? What if people laugh at me? What if I make a fool of myself? Those are that counter intention that you have. And now what's happening is your attention is getting sucked in by resisting that counter thought. You're like, oh, no, that's not going to happen. Don't happen. And whatever you don't want to happen is usually what happens. And I recently learned this while I was playing golf too. And in golf, there's this term called a shank. It's like if you imagine the golf stick or the golf club, and the heel of the club is what connects the club face to the grip, right? And if you hit it in the heel and you make an accident, then you get a shank.
It's been to the... Oh, I shanked it!
Oh, boy.
Holy. It's got to hold my tongue quick.
So what was happening to me was I had the dreaded case of the shanks. And I realized I was having this fear of the shank. When I didn't have a shank and I was stepping up to hit the ball, I actually had this fear of shanking the ball. And whenever I thought about shanking the ball, guess what happened? I literally shanked the ball. So every single time, and when the ball shanks, it goes all the way to the right. It doesn't follow a straight, clean path. It just shoots all the way to the right side if you're a right-handed golfer. And from that moment, I started to realize, wait a second, this is exactly what happens when you focus on the outcome that you don't want, aka the counter intention. What I was doing on the golf course was I was working so hard on resisting the shank that all of my focus was on the shank. Okay, it's kind of like being on the highway, looking at the car next to you and being like, I want to avoid that. I don't want to go towards that car. And what happens when you focus on resisting something? You move towards it. You move towards that car on the highway, right? So our attention works in moving towards. And both moving away and moving towards are target fixated. Whatever we focus on, life doesn't care about the nature of our focus, but rather the content of it. If we focus on avoiding something, we're going to move towards that. If we focus on moving towards something, we're going to move towards that. Okay? So I want you to remember this from now on. Life never focuses on the nature of your focus, but rather just the purified content of it. So most of us, when we think about starting that business, we think about what we want to avoid, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Please think about this. In your life, when you wanted to avoid things, more often than not, that's exactly what happened. The undesirable outcome is what manifested, right? So the question becomes, how does one shift the focus from the resistance of the unwanted to moving towards what is wanted? Okay? So the biggest mistake we make is we try to suppress and resist that old self or the socially conditioned self or the counter intentions and the things that we don't want. Now, what if instead of resisting it, we started to accept what we didn't want? And now, you might be thinking, well, accepting what I don't want might make things worse. Not necessarily. So think about it this way. When you resist something, how much energy are you giving that thing versus just accepting it? Think about acceptance, the feeling behind acceptance and the feeling behind resistance. Take a moment to think about a time in your life when you fully accepted something versus when you were completely in resistance of it. What was the difference? Which was more draining? Was it draining to accept something, or was it draining to resist something? There you have your answer. So if we were to fully accept all of those voices, if I on the golf course start to fully accept that I might shank this ball. Guess what happens? Now I can focus on what I do want. More energy is now available to focus on what I do want, which is that great straight shot that I wanted to hit. When I focus on my business and starting up this business, to give you a concrete example of this, when I started up my coaching business online, I took a huge leap, right? Like I quit my full-time career. I had a cushy, comfy engineering job lined up for me that was paying like 40 or 50 grand a year. And I took this leap. I said, you know what? I can't live like this. I can't, spend the rest of my life and retire doing this shitty job. So something had to change. And so I took this leap and I did this. But when I took this leap, I was in full acceptance of the failure scenario. I was in full acceptance that I could just spend a year or two just grinding away at it and there would be no outcome at all. I fully accepted that. And in accepting that, I had more energy available to direct to what I did want instead. I do want that 20K a month instead. I do want to make that impact instead. I do want to grow this and have that freedom that I wanted instead. So do you see subtly the energetic dynamics of how this works? When you fully get into acceptance of something, it's the meaning that you put behind it. When I have some negative thoughts or some negative beliefs that I feel that are not serving me, instead of looking at it as, this is not serving me, this is the enemy, immediately when you view it and perspectivize it as, this is bad, you can't help but resist it. It's as simple as that. But what if I looked at the socially conditioned thoughts? Okay, I looked at all of the negative beliefs and all of the negative thoughts and feelings. I looked at those and I simply accepted them as a part of me. Now, there's no longer any resistance. Instead of looking at it as, this is bad and this is good, I simply look at it as, this is good, that is good, right? So now I can manipulate my attention and focus more on what I do want. So this is how you become a master of your reality. Just learning how to manage your internal processes, how to manipulate your own psychology so that you can manipulate your own reality and live the life that you want to live. And this is how I've done it. At any moment, you find that you're subjugated with all of these negative thoughts. Instead of viewing them as negative, you simply view them as either thoughts or, this is good. This is a normal process. When I go to a job interview, and I have feelings of anxiety or nervousness, and I say, oh no, anxiety and nervousness are bad. Now I'm going to naturally resist it even more, right? As opposed to if I viewed this anxiety and nervousness as, oh, this is good. This is actually excitement. This actually means I'm going to perform well. Now, if I put a good meaning onto it, then that's exactly what's going to happen. So everything is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay? I actually made a video on this in the past on how events and the meanings that we put on these events color the future events that follow. And this is how you create your reality. By the virtue of the meaning that you put onto things and the things that you focus on, you create your reality. So the last thing I want to leave you off with, it was when I committed to this journey of starting up my business, I fully committed to it, right? There was no half commitment. I accepted all of the failure scenarios, all of the fears and all of the doubts that I had. I accepted them and I saw them as natural. This is completely natural. This is okay. I give myself permission to have this. So if you're wanting to pivot to a new niche, if you want to start up a new business, look at all of the fears and the doubts that you have. And don't look at it as bad, as something that's going to get in your way. Look at it as something that's going to fuel you. This is happening for a reason. Okay, this is good for you. And look at the reasons why these could all be a blessing in disguise. Why is this good? Why is this fear good? This fear is good because it's going to inspire me to perform and stay, top of in the best shape that I possibly can. Okay? This fear, this nervousness is good because it's going to inspire me to perform. So if you start to view it as something more positive, naturally there will be acceptance of it. Naturally there will be a less of a battle against it. Okay? And in that way, you can now fully commit to the direction you wanted to take. Any direction that you go to, fully commit to it. There's a great quote by Napoleon Hill in Outwitting the Devil. It goes something like, a weak plan executed with a definiteness of purpose will always trump a strong plan executed with an indefiniteness of purpose. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do. The action is what's happening. It's illusory. It's what you're seeing on the surface. What matters is the intention behind it and the commitment that you have to it. Okay, I wanted to start a business and I wanted to grow it to 100K a month. And I was stuck at 10 to 20K a month for a while, and I didn't know what would do it, but I still committed to every single action that I took. One thing led to another, and I finally got to it. It's because my commitment, my definiteness of purpose to getting to that goal in my business was strong. I had to pivot niches within my niches. I started off coaching every single thing in identity shifting, but then I started to niche down to more business owners and entrepreneurs because I saw that that's what I was more passionate. That's who I was more passionate working with because that's something I'd gone through myself. And that helped me get to 100K a month in my business, right? So all of these things, you might be saying, oh, okay, so Quasi, the secret is you must niche down. Maybe that's the secret for you. I don't know. It's like I said, the action and the events and the things that happen are illusory. What really makes the change happen is that intention that you have, the thing that's unseen. It's the unmanifest that makes the manifest happen, right? Anyway, with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. Today, we talked about the easiest way for you to achieve your goals. And just a quick recap of everything that we talked about. We talked about the two selves, the intention that you have and the counter intention that we have, and the mismanagement of your attention. We end up resisting the counter intentions more than we double down on the intentions that we have. And so, life doesn't care about the nature of our focus, it just cares about the content of it. If we focus on our counter intentions, we move towards that. So I shared with you a way today in which you can learn to manage those counter intentions. Instead of resisting it, you simply accept it and look at it as something positive. And then you can direct your attention. More energy becomes available for you to direct your attention to what is wanted instead. All right, so thank you so much for watching. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. Please leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of this. If you have any questions, if you'd like to see me make any videos in the future that might be helpful for you. I don't know if you saw my face due to this lighting. It's quite early during the day. I don't usually make videos this early, but I called for it today. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of this. And if you'd like to apply to work closer together with me and my team in the Reality Mastery Program to see if we can help you take your life to the next level, you can apply down below to do that for mentorship. Now, who we typically work with are people who are, as I mentioned before in this video, entrepreneurs and business owners who want to level up their businesses and level up their careers and go to the next level, make more money, and they're seeing that they have an income ceiling. And they don't have a tactical or strategic problem. They have an internal problem. They don't know what it is. They have this internal block. They keep doubting themselves. They don't know fully how to manage their internal processes. Okay? That sounds like you. Click on the link in the description below to apply, and let's see if we can help out. And our free Facebook group is open for you to take advantage of. The link for that is also in the description. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Peace.